Every little girl grows up dreaming about her happy ever after, but most of us don't have fairy tale scriptwriters making sure we get it. That's where the Happy Ever After show comes in. If you have been waiting for a fairy godmother to wave her magic wand and release your frustrations, create the prosperity you want, and live a life you love, then listen closely. It's time to learn how to make your own wishes come true with your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Happy Ever After show. We are in the middle of our Manifest 10,000 series where I'm teaching you how to welcome more money in your life. It's not just about $10,000. It's about more money, and also giving you the tips along the way that help you with your business, because most of you are entrepreneurs. And so I want to give you also that inside track of what I'm doing and behind the scenes. You know, that's something I always wanted as an entrepreneur. Like, it was great to go somewhere and learn from somebody, but I also wanted to know, what do I need to know when I'm in your shoes? How do I serve my people at the highest possible level that I can? How do I show up best I can for them? How do I hold that space? How do I open up to allow major breakthroughs to happen? And so I'm going to share a little bit about that today, and I will share, I'm going to record other podcasts and maybe bonuses or something, bonus episodes, because I think it's really important. And Manifest 10K was just this last weekend after I'm recording, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was incredible. Every participant, they had a breakthrough. They had a shift. They're going out into the world different today than when they showed up a week ago, to spend 3 days with me, and huge shifts. You're going to get to see as time comes out, even people that you will see literally change the way they look in 3 days. Because when you have that financial stress, that I don't know how to be good with money, that all those things that go and create those barriers to us welcoming more money into your life, to you welcoming that money. When you have all those, you even tend to look different physically. And so I'm excited to be able to share with you just some of the transformation. There's tons of videos. If you're in the Manifest 10K group, make sure you scroll through and find the testimonials. This is an event you're going to want to attend next time, right? Whether you feel like it's not about $10,000. What we do at that event is we take 10,000 to a whole new level. It's a whole new level, and it's personalized, and you get a chance to step into that bigger number, because Manifest 10,000 and Manifest 10K is really about laying those foundations, right? And then I want to teach you how to take this even further. So I know you're listening because you want to welcome more money into your life without that struggle, so that you can build your business quicker and easier, because you all have probably experienced, in order to grow that business, in order to serve at the level that you want to serve at, you have to allow money into your life, right? If you have this resistance to charging, if you have this resistance to receiving money, it's hard to create a successful business, because a successful business generally, even when you define success in your own terms, successful business has some part of it that has to do with money. For me, it's all about the stories. It's all about the lives I changed this weekend. But in order for me to keep serving, right, I have to be willing to welcome money into my life. And that's true for you and your business. And for a while, that was something that wasn't always easy for me, right? It's gotten a lot easier because I've been able to see the evidence of what happens when people invest in themselves. And there's really no greater, there's two ways to do this, what I'm about to say, because I used to do this in a way that wasn't intentional. But when you intentionally invest in something with the intention to step into a bigger version of yourself, magic happens. That investment opens the door. And that's true of all investment levels, as long as you're you're making that conscious choice. And this isn't actually what I was planning on necessarily talking about today, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it because it's important. And a lot of times the reason why big investments make a bigger impact. So some people will tell you, you have to make a big investment in order to make a big impact. Some people will tell you, you have to charge a lot of money to make a big impact. So I don't necessarily believe that's true, but what I do believe is true. I believe people, I do believe people are more successful when they make a bigger investment, but it's not just because I asked them to make a big investment, it's because they made a better decision. So when you decide to show up to my workshop, like, you have to make a decision to go all in if you're going to invest the amount of money that it takes to be in a room with me for 3 days, right? And so it's not a half decision. It's not like, oh, I think I want to change. Like, when you invest the money, the type of investment that it is to spend 3 days in a room with me, you've made the decision to become a different person. And so often that's what the investment is about. And that's how I relate it to in my own life. It's not necessarily, because sometimes that doesn't, I don't know, when you're a new coach, it doesn't feel good when somebody says, like, you have to charge a lot to get big results, and you don't get that, right? And I can understand that. So, but I don't, it's not about, me making them pay more money. It's about me helping them to get really clear on their decision. That's what creates big results in my life. In my life, that's in my life. I didn't mean to say my life, but it's true. When I make a decision, when I made a decision to invest in my mentor, holy moly. Like, I was making an investment in my future self. I was saying, yeah, I know we're going to get there. I have no idea I'm going to become this person. And I know we need this along the way, right? Because once I made that investment, which is about 10% of where I wanted my income to be at that time, 10%, it was more money when I invested in my mentor. It was more money than I had made the entire year before. It was more than double what I had made the entire year before, right? But I knew I was investing in my future self, so that was easy because I knew I was investing to become the person, right? And that's really about what making that decision to invest is that for me, it's that I really do want you to choose. Like, I'm investing this and I'm choosing to let my future self shine, right? And I've seen this as the price of the workshop has gone up. Some people were super successful, having huge success playing, not as much as the workshop is now, right? But the majority, what I see is there's just more big things happen when you make that big choice, right? Because you're letting all your future self show up. And so, that's really big. And again, that wasn't necessarily where I was going, but that's where I felt called to talk to you about today. So I think it's important because I think so many times, I don't know, there's so many messages now. I don't remember them as much when I was starting my business, and maybe I just wasn't tuned into that. I don't know. Or maybe it's become more popular. I don't know. Either way, what I see a lot of now is a lot of people just saying, like, you have to charge a lot of money for big results. You got to raise your prices. I see a lot of Facebook ads that are about undercharging. And that's really, like, when I see those, I'm like, well, that's about me, right? And I always wanted to be like, what's in best service to my client? And every time I ask myself, is it time to raise the price, right? Because I think you get to start wherever you want. When I was talking to someone the other day, the workshop is just about 10 times what the investment used to be, plus or minus, based on that first one. And we were talking about it, and I always wanted those decisions to be in service of my client first, because I knew if I was in service of my client, it would be in service of me and my business growth. And so I think it's just hot because I see a lot of, there's a lot of Facebook ads showing up in my feed about undercharging and not valuing yourself and all these things. And I've said this before, I think I probably said this on this podcast, but you can't ever charge what you're worth, right? Because there's no way to put, like, we can do calculations, and I love to show people, like, I know why my workshop is worth what it's worth. I'm worth way more, right? But it's like, there's never you can't define your worth by the amount of dollars, right? And my worth is not defined by the amount of dollars that come into my life. So I don't attach it to, am I undervaluing myself? Am I overvaluing? Like, it's not attached to me. it's like there's a very real reason. A, because I know that's the step in getting my clients the results they want. But also I could go through and I could tell you why the workshop costs what it costs and how I expect that by going through the workshop, like I want you to get 10 times the results of that. I also know that investing in the workshop will save you money, right? And I just, one of my year-long clients, we just had this discussion at the Manifest 10K Live, in front of the audience, where like her being fully in tune with her future self saved, I'm going to estimate about $3,000. I'll get the correct number, but it's about that much, right? When you're in touch with your future, and that was just in one instance in investing in one class, when she wasn't as tapped into her future self, she found this one class, and I want to say it was like $4,000. It was a certification, and it actually wasn't the best certification. I've learned later, but like then she found one that was like $800. It's perfect. It's like so perfect for her. So her future self, it's exactly what she needs. It's a better program. And this is not my opinion. This like comes from somebody who researched all health coaching programs. And so, I know being in touch with your future self also saves you a lot of money, right? Because sometimes it's easy to shuck out $500 here for this course, or $200 for this course, or $97 a lot of times, right? And you do $97 10 times and you don't get any results from any of it because you didn't really do it because it wasn't aligned to your future self. Or you do it, but you still can't get the results because you're coming at it from your same current self instead of future self. Like there's not a return, right? You're actually losing that money. There's a negative investment. Being tapped into yourself always, always, always saves you money and creates more money in your life, always. So it's my little tidbit coaching on that for today. So a little bonus, but that all ties in to our money mindset, especially as entrepreneurs. Like all of that is important information to know. The more you are your future self, the better money mindset you have. So hopefully you found that helpful and able to welcome more money into your life. So we might not as much get to talk about, I was going to talk about today, and this may wait for a different show, but really how to not feel exhausted after you put on an event. Because I think that's important. And I'm amazed. Like I came off of 2 back-to-back events. I did Manifest 10K Live, and I had my event with my year-long people where they get to come in and we do a lot of stuff together, really cool stuff. And then, they left. I had a day, and then my first novella launched yesterday. So then I had a book launch yesterday, right? So I had all the things that go along with the book launch and doing that, it's a full day. I love it. It's so much fun. And yesterday was amazing. It was so much fun. But there's things that go along with that, right? And I'm loving it. I was a little bit tired, maybe around 8:00 last night, which is a little earlier than my brain would usually shut down. But for the most part, I've had so much energy, and people kept saying at the event, like, you must be exhausted. I'm like, I'm not exhausted. And there were a couple of reasons. And one is like, I was doing what I love, but the other is I set it up that way, and so we're going to talk about that. I don't want to go into it. I will go into that because I think it's something I want to teach you all. I want to it's one of those things I wanted to know when I was starting out. And there's some things that I did that really made it awesome and have made me not have to take a week off from my business. I mean, even my mentor was like, if you're going to do a 3-day live event, you're an INFP. So if you're an INFP or you're really familiar with that, you know what that is. She's like, I just want to advise, plan in some extra self-care, right? She was like, you should probably want to plan that in, right? And that was when she only knew about a 3-day event, but running 6 days back to back of events, could, for an INFP, could very well not end well. And it could lead, but that was the thing. Like I needed to make, my future self does this all the time. So I have to know, which is what I figured out, how to not be exhausted, how to be energized, how to be able to manage the time and give myself the space that I need so I can keep going. Because I didn't, when you have a book launch the next day, the option is not to just there's an option to do nothing. I actually could have chosen that, and I would have given myself permission if that's what I needed, but that wasn't the way I wanted my life to look, right? I could have absolutely made that choice and done it without judgment and knowing it was okay if that is what I wanted. It is not what I wanted. So if it's what you want in a similar situation, 100% okay. It was not how I wanted. It's not how I want to run my life. It's not how I want to run my business, right? Like, it's just not who I want to be. It's not who my future self is. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. I'm so excited about everything that's going on. I'm sure you all can tell. So, I am, if you love this season of the podcast, if you love this podcast at all, and, I know I used to listen and I would say like to certain people, or I'd study certain people and I'd say like, I'm not necessarily at the point where I want to join. Their programs don't necessarily fit me right now. Right. But I want to show them the love, so I would definitely buy their books and give them away if it was something that, I was like, oh, I've heard all this or whatever, and I'm more of a listener than a reader, to be honest. So I would find a way to support their business. I would share their stuff a lot because I wanted a way to pay it forward. I wanted a way to invest in them, finding that person if it wasn't right for me to work with them. And so you don't have to feel like you have to do that. But if that's where you are, I want to give you that opportunity. And one of the ways to say, like, I love this show, I love the Happy Ever After show, and I just want to like show Cassie some love, is to pre-order Manifest 10,000, right? Because that helps me. My intention is 10,000 pre-orders, and we're like on the move. I feel the energy. I feel it like so many, I just had time to check the other day how many, and so many people have pre-ordered. Thank you for all of you who have pre-ordered, which this show, I want to say special thanks to Rachel, Lainey, Michelle, Linda, and Brandon for your pre-orders. Thank you so much for supporting the book and helping more people find it, because that's what this is really about, right? It's about creating the momentum for this book as it gets launched into a bigger audience. So it's big on Amazon, but it's also big in bookstores. So the more pre-orders there are, the more book buyers are going to take notice. When we get to a 10,000 pre-orders, that's going to be awesome. Some cool things are going to happen. So just go to manifest10000book.com, order your copy, and then fill out the form and you get a complimentary copy, right? So I'll send you one now, and then when your copy comes in, April, May-ish, you can just pass it on to somebody who needs it, right? And I love it. I have one of my clients, she's like the best at just like handing books. Like, I'm going to get better like her. It's just it's her thing. I might not get better like her. I might just assume it's her, understand that's her thing. But some people are really good. It's just like, oh, you could benefit from this book, right? So I would love if you went to manifest10000book.com and just pick your favorite place, Amazon, Books A Million, Pals, pre-order Manifest 10,000, then fill out the information and I'll get you a copy in the mail so that you have it now. You have your own copy now. You can't get copies anywhere but from me at this moment, right? So you can get your copy now and you can write in it and you can highlight and you can dog ear it. And then when that second copy comes, you can pass it on. So thank you for that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, we've talked a little bit about, investing in yourself. I'm going to talk a little bit about my Manifest 10K story. And it's funny, I'm looking for the list of like, where did I write down because when I started Manifest 10K, so I, like, as you've heard me say, and this is true, I always do first what I'm going to ask you guys to do. So even though Manifest 10K was very similar to Money, 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 I sat down and did the program again before I released it, right? It was like, well, I got to do it. I got to go through it as it is now. But I did it two ways. I did it for $10,000, just like you all did it. And then if you've been in the program, I did it for $100,000 because my intention was to have 100 people manifest $10,000, which is $1 million, $1 million May. And it didn't happen quite that month, but I know that's happening. Like I know there will be a month when there's $1 million manifested through the Manifest 10K course. And that delights me so much, so much. I'm excited for that day. And I know it's just around the corner. So, but in order for me to hold the space, and again, this is coming back to the coaching part, to being, I know there's a lot of coaches that listen to this. In order for me to hold the space, and it doesn't just apply to coaches. Like I just had a realtor flash through my mind, and I know how this could apply to a realtor as well and apply to different people. So, but if my intention was to have 100 people manifest $10,000 and they all pay me $1,000, I had to be open to receive $100,000 in one shot, right? Or basically one shot, right? It probably would have come over 90 days, and it did. I got lots of money from that, and very cool. But I had to set my intention, and I had to put myself as this person who is receiving, attracting $100,000 in 90 days. Now, so before I share my $10,000 story, I want to share the $100,000 because that's what I could find. Like I know in my head what my $10,000 list was, most of it. And for whatever reason, I can't find it in this moment. Probably because I was supposed to find my $100,000 list. So when I found the $100,000 list and I read it, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, this is exactly what I say. I know this to be true in my life over and over again. But I like read the list of what I was going to do with $100,000. And it was this place. It was my magical, super amazing condo that I live in, at the Four Seasons. Like everything about it. It was like, I'll create a beautiful entertainment space. Like, oh my gosh, I have this most beautiful place to entertain people. I have more than one spot, that extends onto this huge balcony. One of the things was a really deep tub. I have like the deepest, most amazing, so cool tub. Girls, how you judge a tub. It does that. And this beautiful kitchen and beautiful floors in the entryway, like everything that was on my list in my mind at that time was, I was going to redo my old condo. That was what was on the list, right? I had just bought that condo. So the $100,000 was all about redoing that. And when I wrote it down, and what I realized is I did redo it, and it didn't cost $100,000. Like we made it even more beautiful. I got the carpet the beautiful carpet, and the kitchen was beautiful when I left, even did designer. It was so cool. It was beautiful. The entryway was beautiful, but it even as good a job as I did designing it and my contractor did executing it, like it's just not as beautiful as where I live now. And one of the reasons is because there's windows all over where I live now. So there's more light. It's just, it's just, there's other things that add to that beauty. But I was just reading that list, and I'm like, two things that struck me immediately was like, this is the life I live now. Like what I wanted to attract that $100,000 to create, wouldn't even, like it created better, which is what always happens, right? When we get clear about what we want, we get clear about how we feel. I created like even better than I wanted. And it didn't cost me $100,000. Like it did not cost me $100,000. And the money works out different, but I didn't have to manifest $100,000 to do it. It hasn't cost me $100,000 to live here. Like it's cost me less than $100,000, which is like so cool to me. Because that's significant when you think about like, that's why I want it. Like, one of the things that was like, it was like with my $100,000, what I would do is buy this amazing parking space, the most perfect park. It was, I didn't put buy on the list, but it was like, what are you going to do with your $100,000? It's like, create or get the most perfect parking space. Like, are you kidding me? Right now, I valet my car every day. I have the absolute most perfect parking space that I literally don't even know where is in the garage. Like, there's only been a couple times I needed to get in my car, and they would totally, even if I just needed to get something, they would pull my car up and I could get it. But there's a couple times I wanted to go. I was like, I'll just go get it. But they have to give me directions because I literally don't actually know where they park my car. I know it goes in the garage, right? But I don't know actually how to get there. I always have to ask because it's so few times that I get in my car when it's not just started and waiting out front for me, right? So I could have never imagined that amazing parking space when I put on that list. So all of that and more has happened. And yeah, this was couldn't have been, it was about 2 years ago, right? But the thing is that I'm okay if like, it didn't take 2 years for that to manifest. It took 2 years for me to like kind of put it together. And that's okay. Because I'm really good at like set it and forget it manifesting. Like I decide what I want. I go step into the feeling. I go make sure I know who my future self is with all those things. And then I step into it. So just a couple minutes and I want to just share, because I was telling the story the other day and I love it. So the things that I do remember that were on my Manifest 10K list, my $10,000 list, because again, I did it both ways. So my $10,000 list was a couch. Like that is the one thing I remember the most. And within, 30 days, I had got a free couch. One of my improv teachers had posted it. He's like, this is for free if you can pick it up tomorrow. I call my mom. She happened to be, because she lives like an hour away and she has a truck. So that was my first call to get a truck, otherwise going to have to figure out how to get the couch. She was going to be downtown passing through. It was perfect. It wasn't inconvenient. It was just like she could stop in, and she did. Literally, this adventure took us about a half an hour to pick up and, from place to place, from his place to my place. And I had been wanting, I wasn't sure, now I know why I didn't buy the couch, and I'll share that in a second. But I had been wanting, something with a chase at the end, where it's longer, it's like the seats. And I wanted to see how that fit in my place. Well, this was perfect because I wasn't going to keep this couch forever. It was nice, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't, I wanted to invest in something a little bit nicer than this. But it was perfect because I got to feel what it felt like and I got it done. Right. And then about a month after that, it was at one of my investment properties because the tenant locked himself out and I needed to come let him in. And I see this couch and he has another couch stacked on it. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm moving. I was like, oh, I know, no problem. Right. I don't care. I was looking at the couch. I was like, no, but that couch is awesome. Right. It's purple. It's got this very cool curve on it. I'd never seen a couch like that. And he's like, oh, he goes, do you like it? I said, I love it. And he goes, I don't want it. He's like, it's not a guy's couch. He goes, but I wanted this. He had this yellow chase, which is really cool. He goes, I wanted that from one of my coworkers. But when I got there, she said, well, you have a friend in a truck, so maybe you could just take both. And he goes, I don't want that couch. It's not a guy's couch. I said, I'll take the couch. Right. So they brought it over, no drama. I didn't have to plan anything. They had when they had the truck, or his friend had a truck, and they brought it in. It is the most perfect couch for me ever. You've probably seen it in pictures. It's the purple one, right? I don't even know where you would buy a couch like that. Honestly, I don't know what store you go to. I couldn't have picked that out on my own. Right. But I set the intention and I let it happen. And so while I did manifest $10,000, and I'll talk more on this because we're kind of getting short on time, but while I did manifest $10,000 through the process of Manifest 10K, as important is that couch that showed up from my list, right? And I also got offered a place to stay. We're getting ready to go on a trip in a couple months to San Diego, and I got a place to stay for free. One of the things I wanted was money, is going to spoil the people I was with in San Diego and do stuff like that. Well, since I got a free place to stay, there was that money to do that. Here's a couple other things that happened, but I got all of that. And, when you create and you get clarity, which is what I teach, and I'm going to go through it in more episodes, and it's in the book, Grab Manifest 10,000 and get this clarity. The things start happening, They happen. Sometimes the money flows in and you invest in those things, and sometimes they just happen. So I'm going to wrap up for today. I promise I'll talk more about because I do want to share with you how the cash showed up. But I want to wrap up for today and just tell you a little inspiring story about, Maggie. You've heard about Maggie before. You'll hear an interview with her. I'm sure you've seen her story. Maybe not. But Maggie manifested $20,000 in the form of a new job that came with a big raise when she went through the program the first time. And this past weekend, when she was in Manifest 10K Live, she even doubled that. And the way she did that was by showing up as her future self. So we did a lot of talk in Manifest 10K as that. And she went home and she edited as her future self, which meant it took her half the time to edit as it had been. So she literally doubled her income. Now you might not say, well, she's not getting paid double. She's not. But in half the time, so if you look at it as an hourly rate, you divide it out by the hours she works, she's making double this week what she was last week. So I just want to share that story with you. When Maggie's on the show, we'll for sure get all the details to that. But just a little inspiration to keep you going. And before I let you go today, I just want to share with you the mantra of the week, and that's I allow flow. I allow flow. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in. I will talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us on the Happy Ever After show, where you don't need a genie lamp to get your wishes granted. Now that you're inspired and ready to take action, get yourself on the path to your happy ever after by scheduling a complimentary strategy session at createmyhappyeverafter.com.